Art Laffer, you hear him? He says the consumer's going to slow down in order to rebuild the savings. And you know that 2/3 of the American economy is driven by the consumer. Do you believe that?
No, I don't believe any of it whatsoever, Michelle. Excuse me. But, you know, what he's saying is that savings is way down in this country, but wealth has risen dramatically. The United States economy has never been in better shape. There is no tax increase coming in the next couple of years. Monetary policy is spectacular. We have freer trade than ever before. And not only that, but there are no incomes policies things here. I think Peter's just totally off base, and I don't think it's going to be... I mean, I just don't know where he's getting his stuff.
Well, one of us is off base, but it's definitely not me. I mean, it's not wealth that's increased in the last few years. We haven't increased our productive capacity. All that's increased is the paper values of our stocks and real estate. But that's not real wealth, no more than the NASDAQ was wealth. When you see the stock market come down and the real estate bubble burst, all that phony wealth is going to evaporate. And all that's going to be left is all the debt that we accumulated to foreigners.
Peter, I'm going to take a bet with you on this one. I'll bet you a penny on this one that if you'll sign a letter saying that if you're wrong, you'll sign a letter that you were wrong to me in this, but you're just way off base. There is nothing out there that tells us we're going to have a nice slowdown, but it's not going to be a crash.
Let me ask you this.
I'll bet you a lot more than a penny.
He was one of Ronald Reagan's chief economists, and his new book is The End of Prosperity. Art Laffer. Arthur, how you doing? Pleasure to see you. How are you?
Doing very well. Well, I'm learning a lot from all of you.
I must say...
Race doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Abortion doesn't matter anymore. I want to worry about tall people.
I get it. I must say, you look awfully youthful for someone who I first heard about when I was in high school.
Oh, I dislike you now intensely.
Why? I said you
now
look
it's
youthful.
ageist.
No, I said you... Oh, okay. Anyway, so listen, not to put you on the spot, Arthur,
please.
But you're the man in the Reagan administration coined a lot of phrases we know now, like trickle-down economics. I have to thank you for that one. That has been a staple in my stand-up act for years. Always gets huge laughs when I go off on that. Supply-side economics. But you made a bet a couple of years ago with a guy named Peter Schiff on TV, right? He was saying that we consume too much. He said that we are running up the credit card. His quote was, the real estate bubble is going to burst and all that phony wealth is going to evaporate. You said the U.S. economy has never been in better shape. He said a crash is coming in 07 or 08, and you said a nice slowdown is the worst we're going to get. Have you paid off that bet?
No, I haven't. But there are two things. I mean, number one, when you're forecasting the economy or the weather or the sex of an unborn child, 9 months is the statute of limitations.
Well, that's a lot of lumping
and that's
there.
why I only bet one penny.
The weather, the economy, and the unborn child?
Well, that's 9 months. That's how you get it. But that's why I only bet one penny. So when I lose, it's not.
But, you know, Greenspan was testifying before Congress the other day. And he kind of said, well, you know what, I kind of goofed. Whoops, my bad. Luckily, it didn't cause a big, giant economic meltdown. But it kind of did. I mean, you know, it seems to me like, you know, for a couple of years there, we were like that cartoon character who runs off the edge of the cliff, and then they kind of suspended it for a while before they fall down, and now we fell down. And my question is, why couldn't the economists see that we were doing that?
Well, what's really happened here, if you want to see it, it's the stock market that's really gone first. Now, the economy has not really gone full tilt. Stock markets are forward-looking. If you think the economy's been bad for the last couple of years, just wait till you see next year and the year after. Unfortunately, I mean, you are seeing a pile-on. If you look at how much they've raised the national debt, if you've looked at all the deficits coming, you know, the implications are that you've got to collect money for these things. But you'll have slowdowns in revenue.
But Arthur, raise the national debt. Isn't this partly your responsibility?
The one was, not this one.
Okay, but you're the guy who says that, you know, the more you cut taxes, the more you raise revenue.
No.
Isn't that what supply-side economics was all about?
No.
No? Really? I got that wrong?
Yes.
All right.
Sometimes when you cut tax rates, you collect more revenue. And sometimes when you cut tax rates, you get less revenue.
What was the Laffer curve?
That was showing that there are two ranges. One is the upper range, where if you cut tax rates, you get more revenue. And then the lower range is where you cut tax rates.
So you'd be for raising taxes now?
It depends on what it is. If you talk about
Well,
tax-
in the economy we're in right now.
well, let me just say that on unrealized capital gains, I'd be very definitely for raising taxes. But in general, I don't think you want to raise taxes on the last 3 people working in this economy. It doesn't make sense to me.
Well, that's not what Obama's doing.
I didn't say Obama was doing it.
No,
Sorry.
You're a touchy man.
But
You can't even give this guy...
how am I the touchy one? And no, just see.
But, you know, we always hear about the Democrats, that they're bad because they're tax and spend. But isn't it worse to spend without taxing? Isn't that what we've really done?
Well, sooner or later, you can't spend if you don't tax.
Right.
I mean,
But I always heard that the other phrase I heard associated with you and your policies was starve the beast. In other words, the government is a beast. If you starve them of tax revenues, they'll have to cut spending. But it never really works out that way. They never actually do the cutting spending part, and that's why we have a $10 trillion deficit.
I hate to tell you, that is not I. I mean, I was never the one to starve the beast. Now, Milton, he was one who wanted to starve the beast. He wanted to cut any tax. Milton Friedman. He wanted to cut any tax purely and simply to give them less money. But I've always wanted to give the government more money so they can do the job better. If there's a tax rate you can reduce, and you can actually get more revenues, like the capital gains tax or some of these others, it makes only perfect sense that you make the taxpayers better off, and the government collects more money to provide the beneficiaries of public service.
Now, are you still a Republican? Matt says he's not a Republican.
I'm about half and half. I voted for Clinton twice. By the way, never in the Democratic primary. Just so you know. I mean, I'm teasing. Obviously, I loved Reagan. I'm a Kennedy Democrat from the 60s.
Oh.
You know, I look for what I think is the best policy.
Let me ask, okay, we have independents, we have Democrats here. Well, what is going to happen to this Republican Party now? Because it seems like they've been held together by this coalition. Half of them are tax-cutting people who believe that that has magic powers, and half of them are, let's be honest, Jesus freaks. I mean, that's the coalition. They believe he has magic powers.
Well, the crazy arm of the Republican Party can move to Alaska.